Chapter 1. The Predator's Smile. He didn't know the word fear, or perhaps he knew it, but had long since ceased to perceive it as a reason to stop. Fear was like the wind on the steppe. It wouldn't stop you, but it would tell you when to duck. In this, he was like a hunter, patient, resilient, with cold blood and a precise strike. In his youth, he had gambled everything on intuition. He was lucky, not because fortune favored him, but because he studied people. He didn't see odds, he saw weaknesses. The weaknesses of players, the weaknesses of systems, the weaknesses of the bookmakers themselves. They believed they controlled the game because they wrote the rules. But he knew rules were only there to find loopholes. He sat on his narrow, hard cot in prison, while others lost their minds and scribbled formulas on scraps of newspaper. He solved chess problems, imagining each move as a bet, a risk, a trap, a dominance. He knew he would get out, and when he did, everything would be different. The world outside had changed. Paper tickets were a thing of the past. Now everything was numbers, accounts, VPNs, bots, algorithms. And in this, he saw a chance. The online game was cleaner, fairer, because it was emotionless. Machines didn't flirt. Machines didn't betray. But machines could be hacked, deceived, adapted to. He sat before the screen of an old laptop, given to him by a former cellmate, and for the first time opened an online betting site. Statistics, odds, live bets, markets. Everything flickered, shimmered, like light in Istanbul's mosques. He felt like a novice, but this was a false sensation. Behind the interface, he saw the same old things: greed, carelessness, a belief in their own invulnerability. He smiled, softly, barely perceptible, like a wolf smiling, smelling blood for the first time after a long winter. "Here, you don't know me," he said to the screen, "but you will soon, because I am placing a bet on everything." He opened a notebook. At the top of the page, he wrote, "Project, Risk," and below, Goal $1 million. Deadline, 12 months. Method, Analysis, Pressure, Manipulation. He looked up. The numbers on the screen glowed again. The first online bet awaited. The game had begun. He didn't choose easy paths. Easy paths were for those who feared falling. And he had fallen, many times, and painfully, but each time he rose a little stronger, a little smarter, a little quieter. He was only loud in his youth, when he wanted the whole world to hear how a boy from a dusty Turkish town was winning. Now he didn't need to be heard. He wanted to be felt. A nameless threat, cold logic, a system error. He didn't seek fame. He sought vulnerabilities, and he found them everywhere. Carefully, unhurriedly, he studied the website's interface. Like a surgeon before an operation, everything had to be clear. Where the pulse was, where the artery, where to apply pressure, and where to wait. He spent an hour reading the terms and conditions, analyzing every phrase, every footnote. Another hour on studying the movement of the odds. And only then, he placed his first bet. Small, unobtrusive, like a click in the dark. "This is a test," he murmured. "Not for winning, but for a signal. I need you to feel me, like a slight draft that closes a door." He didn't believe in quick victories. He knew the system was used to the greedy, to those who wanted to hit the jackpot immediately. His bets were like blind chess moves, insignificant at first, but with a long-term aim. He was building a trajectory, a funnel. He created a dozen accounts, different names, different IPs. Some, like ordinary players, losing money, betting emotionally, making trivial mistakes. Others, the opposite, smart, cold, winning, but never twice on the same thing. Let them think it was just luck. For now. On the fourth day, his balance grew by $127. Insignificant, but enough for the algorithms to notice him, for a player behavior analyzer in some server room to note, "This user is behaving suspiciously efficiently, and yet too cautiously to be blocked. He knew their patience was his main weapon. The algorithm was patient. People waited. And he worked. In the evenings, he continued his studies. He didn't even allow himself coffee without purpose. His brain had to work like an engine. Stable, clean, coordinated. He reread works on probability. Theory, even those he had read 10 years ago. Again and again. Because repetition didn't kill. Knowledge, it made it alive. He resolved problems from a 1963 chess tactics book he once hid under his mattress in his cell. His path was no longer a game. It had become a craft. And now, a war. He rose from the table, walked to the window. Outside, a warm night, the muffled lights of Istanbul, distant sirens. This city, like him, had survived much but had not given up. He looked into the darkness and felt everything inside him constrict into a single line, straight, like a punch. This time, he said quietly, I'm not just taking a risk, I'm managing the risk. And on his face, that same smile appeared again, serene, warm, like an old wolf who knows dawn is near.